Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I am your host, David Streggy, and here I have in the room Mr. Joel D. Wynkoop once again. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to be here.
So last week we covered a lot of ground covering some of your the stuff that you've specifically directed, and a lot of it we covered while we were talking about it. But I wanted to give you some more airtime so that we can have you can let me know how you got involved. Now, did you act or direct? First is the question. I think you acted first, correct?
Yeah, I acted first I was always acting as a kid, but when I did Super 8 movies, when my dad bought me a Super 8 camera, we went out and did the Notorious Skateboard Gang, and then we did the $8 Million Boy Meets the Invisible Transport Boy. We did that dinosaur movie Ghoulanium, and that's actually I watched Tim Ritter and Wendy Ritter. They lived across from us, so I kind of would go over there when their parents were gone and watch them all day and stuff in the summer. And then Tim brought over his Allosaurus to put in our movie called Ghoulanium.
Okay,
and that was all animated, making the dinosaurs move. So that's the first thing we did, and I did that with Steve Campbell, and then, like I said, Tim came over. And when I did Bionic Boy a couple years later, then I put Tim in that, and so I was kind of directing this stuff as far as Super 8 because I was the one doing it, but I was also acting in it. So kind of a little bit of both. It wasn't but even when we did Twisted Illusions, when Tim and I decided to do that, I still wrote 3 stories and acted in. I think I acted in Truth or Dare.
Yes,
and then the wraparound. Yeah. So yeah, but it was kind of acting, but directing at the same time too.
Okay. Well, I figured that I'd give your acting more focus this time. So you played in. Well, we talked last time about Twisted Illusions and your what you did in that. So I'm just gonna ask you about how did you feel that your character as the guard in Truth or Dare went?
That was pretty cool because again, Tim wrote it, but like Yale Wilson a lot of times would say, you and Joel, and Steve Feldout would say too, the second assistant director, they said, you and Joel go home and see what you want to put in the background and stuff like that. And we went to my nephew's house, Terrence Howard of the Love Doctors on EZR in West Palm Beach. But we go back to Terry's house, and Tim and I would sit there and say, okay, what should be in the back? How about a guy washing the car? How about this? How about that? But then I was going to do stunt work in it too, and then I was a property master, and I acted in it. So when it came time to do that scene with Jerry Berry, Jerry and I worked out a whole karate scene out in the pool area. And so he would punch me, and then I came back with the karate kick, and then we did a whole fight right at the pool. It was really neat. And then the day we shot it was at the Jupiter Hospital, and we shot it just like that. We had I was in the scene with Anthony T. Towns, who was in the Smokey and the Bandit Part 2, and we were doing our lines back and forth. And he goes around the corner. Mike Strauber stabs him in the eye, and then Strauber comes out, and he goes by, and I kind of look up and do a double take, like, oh, he's getting away. And I get up and confront him, and to me, it would have been a great scene. I got to actually write my own scene. Tim let me do that, but it was like, Mike, what are you doing? You know, you can't leave your room. And he's got the mask on and everything. He's standing across the room. I go, come here a minute. And he comes up right like face to face. So it was a scary scene. And I go, let's go back to your room. I'll read you some stories. Everything's going to be fine. And then, I think he pushes me. And then I can't remember how the fight scene went. Somehow I pushed him back, and then I was able to throw like a roundhouse kick to his head. And then, he went backwards, and then he comes at me. And I think I did, like, he grabbed me here, I think, and I did a knife break move where you go like that and then punch to the chest.
Okay.
And then a couple other kicks. And I remember when Jerry said kick me, I kicked him so hard he went into the door of the hospital. And even though they're big metal door frames, they broke the two things at the top, because I kicked Jerry because he's a professional stuntman. He goes, just go ahead and kick me as hard as you can. He had all this padding on. So I did, but when he hit that door, something broke on those hinges, because I remember the hospital made a big deal out of it. And so I fight the killer with roundhouse kick, then I go into a wheel kick and a side kick, and all this cool martial arts stuff that I really wanted to use in movies. And I beat him, and he hits the wall, and he slides down. Well, I get on the phone, and I think it was Dr. Thorne. I go, get Thorne on the And supposedly he's like, yeah. And he's like, what? And then I made up my own dialogue by saying, yeah, he tried to get by me, but nobody gets by me. And it was an extreme close-up on my face. And I remember the camera was so excited about it, because then the killer comes up right behind me, wearing the mask. Comes up right behind me. So I'm here, and then there he is right behind me. And I remember his words too. He goes, "They are gonna shit." And it was a cool scene. And then he takes a piece of glass and he jams it into my neck, and then he slits it right across there. And I think my head dropped all the way back. So, it had to be me in the scene. And then they replaced the head. And Steve Prouty, I think it was, and Bill Koffler and his protege were there, and they made my head, which was really cool, because Steve Prouty and I would take the big black car off the set, and we drive it around town, and I would hold the head up and have it look out, and people were like, "Well, there's two people. The one's got no head," and or he's got the head but no body. And so it shows my head, and then they stuck the knife into the neck of the head, and when it missed, they kept missing the bladder thing, but it finally hit it, and then the blood would pour out, and my head dropped back. So I had a big fight scene, and then I die in it. But I don't know what happened in editing. I think they were just like, first of all, they were like, well, the karate scene didn't belong in there. And I was like, what do you mean? Killers just escape, nobody tries to stop them. So they dropped the karate scene. And then they go, well, the stab in the neck didn't look real, so we took it all out. So all you see in Truth or Dare now is Mike Strauber runs by my security table. I jump out, start to go after him. Then I put the mask on as a stuntman and came out the door, and Jerry Berry put on a policeman's uniform, and he was coming up stairs, and we meet in the middle, and I punch him, back fist him, and then I punch him again, and he goes over that second floor staircase, and he falls down on the ground down where there's, he's got his stuntman thing, his box is all set up, and that was the big fall. And I remember Yale at the time looking at Jerry and going, can you give that to us? And Jerry was like, well, okay, I'll give it to you. But meaning money wise, they couldn't afford to pay him because they're over budget to begin with. So he did that fall. He goes, yeah, I'll give it to you. So he did that fall, but my whole thing got cut out. So I was like, that kind of sucks. And that's why Tim said in Killing Spree, because you want to do that karate scene. I go, yeah, if it's okay with you. He goes, yeah, man, you can do that. So that's kind of, but Truth or Dare too, I was doing the property master, so I was getting all the props for it. I was also a production assistant. I remember one day we were out shooting where there was a shed that we were going to blow up. Bob Shelley from Ghostbusters rigged all the pyrotechnics, and before he had blown that up, I had made it look like, the shed had been there for years. I implanted grass and roots and trees around it. And the second AD, Steve Feldock, came to me and he goes, you are now in charge of all the set dressing because this looks great. But then, when they blew that thing up, that thing, exploded all over the place. And I built that shed with Gordon Ritter and Wendy Ritter, Tim's dad and his sister. We were all up on the roof, using this. It's in the Making of Truth or Dare. You'll see me up there with the staple gun, so I put that whole thing together. And Tim's dad, Gordon, and his sister, Wendy. And then I think my car's in that, of course. That's my Ford Fairmont that's in there. Okay. That Terrence Andrucci used to drive in the movie. Okay. But yeah, that was pretty much my my one scene in there was that, and then and then doing some of the stunt work, some of the car driving, and some of the fight scenes.
Okay. Now, before we get any further, just in case the audience hasn't figured out who you are, I figured I'd ask you, where are you originally from?
From Owatonna, Minnesota.
Okay. And now you are located in?
Tampa, Florida.
Okay. Very cool. Now, after you just mentioned Killing Spree, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the acting?
Well, Killing Spree was pretty cool too. I mean, I acted in Truth or Dare, and almost immediately, Tim. In fact, there's a funny story behind it. Tim was gonna do. It was like, I don't know how long after Truth or Dare, but he was already like, I gotta do another movie. I'm gonna. And then I was at his house, so I saw all his notes. There was like bloody pages and all these. And that was one of the names I always remember. That was one of the names for Killing Spree, and all these other names. I remember looking at him on his desk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are just some names I'm thinking about. I go, oh, cool. So it's kind of him just doing it, and then I think I was kind of like an afterthought because he was more going to do it with Asbestos, which is the guy who blows his head off with the hand grenade in Truth or Dare, and Al Nicolosi, who we met when we went into Video Extron. I think it was Video Extron, yeah. And he was like, oh, I want to get in with you guys. And that's why we brought him in to do Twisted Illusions. Then he was with us on Truth or Dare. He's actually on top of one of the roofs when we blow something up. And the second director was like, get down there, Mr. Vito. And so he was on Killing Spree, all full on board. And then I kind of was like feeling left out. And then I showed up one day at an interview. They were having an interview. And I remember showing up. And I remember Al telling me like, well, WPEC Channel 12 is hiring. You should go over there right now. And I'm like, well, I came here to do this interview with you guys. He goes, nope, you should go over there right now and get that job right away. You should go now. And I found out years later, I was like, he just didn't want me involved with anything. And I said, that kind of sucks. Because we're the ones that started it all. So I stayed, did the television interview and everything. And then fast forward to now Tim's going to do Killing Spree. With all these other names, he started casting for it. Almost immediately, I can't remember how long after Truth or Dare, not long. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling Tim, I go, well, are you going to have like stuntmen? Can I do something in it? And he's like, oh, yeah, well, people falling off of chairs. And I think he was like, I don't know if he's making fun of me because I said that I got into that stuntman thing from Barry telling me that, working with him. And Jeffrey Miller saying, hey, it's a stuntman here. And it's not like I was crashing cars or anything. So, I felt kind of whatever. I go, maybe he doesn't even want me in this. So, but the time came, Tim asked me, he goes, well, you want to try out for Killing Spree? And I always kind of was thinking like, well, shouldn't I just get it because I'm your friend? But then I thought, well, maybe not. It doesn't work that way. You still got auditions. So anyway, I ended up going down there and auditioning. And I know Mark Peterson and Joel Harlow. And Joel Harlow is the one that got the Oscar for J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. So it's so cool that we worked with him way back then, And then his life is very set up now, I'm pretty sure. I'm still struggling as an actor. Anyway, so I go to the audition for Killing Spree. A friend of mine, his name was Terry, but I used to always call him Raybach because he had Raybach on his shirt. Okay. And he drove down with me to Jupiter, went into, it was the same hotel where we shot Truth or Dare. Okay. Went in there, did the audition and everything, and I remember Joel and the other guy, and Vince Miranda was there too. They didn't like my acting. They're like, he's no good. And I think Tim kind of went to bat for me. I think he's like, he's my buddy. He's got to do it. Because you don't know, do you get him on set? And then the next thing I know, Al Nicolosi's at my house knocking on my door, and he goes, here's your script. You got the TV repairman. And I was like, oh, cool. So I was really excited about doing this with Tim again and everything. And Al was cool. We were talking and everything. He dropped it off. It was just something weird in that Truth or Dare thing when we did that interview. It was like they didn't want me there. And, I kind of hurt my feelings or whatever. But yeah, that's the, the trials and tribulations of, going through the audition. So I went to the audition. I got the part. I got the TV repairman. I went down there on the days I was going to do it and, shot the scenes. And I remember there was one scene, he goes, Joel, can you put these on? It was like this little tiny, thin thong for guys. You know, you'd see on a girl or something. You just put this on. We're going to use this. So I took it and I went into a room upstairs. And then I waited for like, I don't know, 2 minutes. And then I came back out and I go, oh, they don't fit. Meaning like they wouldn't pull up, don't fit. And then Kathy, his wife, was going, oh, we're so modest. And I go, no, I didn't. Forget it, man. I don't know wear these. And that's why Asbestos is wearing them. Because then he goes, Joel won't wear them. Asbestos will you? And he goes, I don't care. So he pulled them on and sported them in the movie when he's doing the carpet cleaning. So, you know, we did that. And then it was hectic because there were kind of some drugs on set and somebody pulled a gun. And one guy chased another guy around the backyard with a knife, threatening to kill him. And a guy brought the gun, and then they were playing with the gun at the kitchen table. And one day I wasn't there. Tim said everybody just went crazy. I think that was one of the days. And it's all in the behind the scenes of Killing Spree, Blinded by the Blood. And you see a lot of that. You didn't see the gun. And I think you did see the gun when the guy pulled a 22 out. And it was, and they were joking. And the cameraman, hey, is that a real gun? And that's not cool with us. And then the kind of drug issues and stuff. And then there was friction between Tim and Al and his house. And it got really bad at one point. I remember asking Al, I'm in my zombie makeup and I look at Al and I go, hey, it's pretty cool. We're doing the deal, man. Because it's what we wanted to do since Twisted Illusions. And I said, hey, man, it's pretty cool. We're doing it, Al, right? And he just looked at me and he goes, I just want it to be all over. And I was like, oh, man, because the house did get kind of wrecked. They got blood that came through the walls that when we were shooting the scene with the Lisa was supposed to be on the wall in a picture frame and blood comes out of her nipples and her lower regions. And Tim said that became kind of a haunted thing. He said the walls bled blood after we were done with Killing Spree. He goes, Al said that blood would come back through the walls, which is weird. And then, but great experience. I mean, it was really cool doing it. And I was writing Lost Faith. I brought my script Lost Faith and I was writing it as I was waiting to do my scenes for Killing Spree. But yeah, I did all my scenes. I was up. My last scene, I think, was up in the attic, and I was tied up. And Asbestos had the chainsaw, and when Asbestos dancing around, and when he jammed the chainsaw up, it went up through some glass, and the broken glass came crashing down the ground, and it almost hit the camera. It went up, and there was this blood and liquid all over the floor, and there's cables all over, and I'm got all this food stuff that Asbestos kept jamming inside of me. I remember I was gagged, and I remember going, you know, I'm kind of scared here, Tim. And Tim's like, what? I'm scared. And he goes, you're scared? And I go, yeah, because I thought I was going to get electrocuted because I'm tied up. There's all this liquid all over the floor, and then we got all these electrical cables laying all over the place. And I remember asking his dad, I go, can I talk to your dad? And he's like, yeah. And Gordon came in, and they took the thing out of my mouth. I go, Mr. Ritter, is this safe? Are we going to blow up and I'm going to burn up in this house? He goes, no, everything's insulated. It's fine. Like, okay. So then the next thing I told Tim, I go, dude, I got to go run this paper out for the Post-Times. I go, I got to get out of here. Not that I just surprised him with it. He knew all day that I had to leave latest 2 o'clock in the morning after being there, you know, since 8 in the morning. And so he just rushed the guys along. He goes, hey, man, we got to get these shots. This guy's got to go to work. So it was like 2:30 in the morning. I finally finished, but yeah, it was blood splattering all over it was the bloodiest I've ever been in a movie, I think. I think when we did Creep 2, a little scenes for Creep 2, a trailer, I had blood spraying all over me. But that Killing Spree was probably more the bloodiest. And then I had to get in a grave, and I told Tim, has this been sprayed for bugs and snakes and roaches or whatever? He goes, oh, yeah, it's all chemicals down there, which probably wasn't the best thing. And when they buried me, I said, just bury me. I can hold my breath for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to come up. So I heard him call an action, but I didn't want to come up. So when I gasped, it would be for real. So I held my breath for 2 minutes, exploded out of the ground, and big chunks of dirt went in my eyes and my mouth. So when I came out, I couldn't see, but that wasn't going to stop me. I just kept acting. I was just going, coming out of there. And when Tim finally called cut, he told Kathy, he goes, get that stuff out of his eyes because they could see it in my eyes. And I was like throwing all the mud out of my mouth because I'm supposed to have the sprinkler in my hand where you can't see it. The sprinkler line's supposed to break, and I'm spraying the water in my face while he was spraying the chunks of dirt that were coming up with me. So they went in my eyes, and actually my eyes were just covered with mud. So I couldn't see. And chunks were in my mouth, so I was spitting that out. And his wife, Kathy, came up with Visine. She's just splashing in my eyes, and they could see dirt just coming out of my eyes like that. But got out of the grave. It was a cool scene. Everything worked good, and and now I guess this is like its 5th or 6th release. It's being released again with somebody big. I don't know if it's an Anchor Bay thing or who it is, but that dang movie has been re-released and 7-8 times in different colors. It's really got that.
Well, I know Ron Bonk had it for a little bit.
Yeah. Films Around the World was the first one after Tim had it.
But after Lost Faith, since we talked about that last time, you did get into Wicked Games, which was part of the Truth or Dare series, correct? As Dr. Dan Hess again, and Writer's Block was right after that, correct?
Writer's Block was not even connected to Truth or Dare.
Okay.
What the whole thing was with Writer's Block, and it's being released now by Tony Maselli. He's got, I don't know if he has the rights or it's a bartering thing or whatever, but he's got it releasing it in another cover. And I had a VHS copy. I think I sold it for $100 at Tampa Bay Scream. Someone go, I'll give you $100 for that. And I go, sold. But when they did that, I believe it was, they offered Tim and myself, or Tim, depending on how you look at it, $2,000 to use, not to get the rights for Wicked Games, but to use footage from Wicked Games. And I was supposed to be in Writer's Block, but I was at a family reunion in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because Tim was telling me, they want you for the sequel. And I go, geez, I can't, I can't leave. I'm out here. So, that's what I was told, that they wanted me in it. Anyway, the movie gets done. It comes out. It does have, I am in Writer's Block, Truth or Dare Part 2, unofficial, but the scene comes up, the kid's watching Wicked Games on television. He's like, he's all in awe of the blood and gore. And there's a scene in there when I shoot myself, my eye comes out. That scene's in the movie where I'm laughing and the blood's coming out of my mouth. And I think there's a couple other scenes, but that's all I did.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that Tim would tell me today too, they never paid us that money. And then the movie came out. And then I think, like I said, it switched hands, here and there. And I think Tony Maselli ended up with it. But that was something that we were supposed to be paid for. But nothing to do with Truth or Dare. Because people would say, well, what do they mean? That's the sequel to Truth or Dare. Writer's Block 2, Truth or Dare Part 2. No, it's not. Wicked Games is Truth. So we had to tell people that. Wicked Games is the official. Wicked Games, Truth or Dare Part 2. That's the official sequel to Truth or Dare. Writer's Block, and that Writer's Block was after Creep, I think, because I remember having a copy of Creep in South Carolina for my brother-in-law to see, and which he never watched. The family's like, I don't think they really care about what Joel does. So my mom was a big supporter, but I think Writer's Block didn't come till way after Creep that they wanted to do it, or they had always talked about it. But Wicked Games, that was when Tim called me up one day because I was busy trying to get Lost Faith out. And Tim called me up one day and he goes, hey, how's it going? And I go, pretty good, man. How are you? He goes, are you all done with Lost Faith? And I go, yeah, I think so. I got all the covers. I got it all in the VHS. And Tim would go with me to sell it too. I think I told that story last time, how we sold them in our cars. And so I said, yeah, I think I'm all done. And he goes, are you sure? You got Lost Faith? You're done? It's out of your head? You think you're done with it? And I go, yeah, I don't think there's too much more I can do unless me and you just want to go out and try and sell some more, but I think I'm done. He goes, you sure you're done with it? And I go, and then I was like, yeah, I'm done. What do you want? And he goes, okay, we're doing Truth or Dare Part. We're going to do Wicked Games, Truth or Dare Part 2. And I can't remember if it was called Wicked Games right away because then Kermit Chrisman was going to get involved with it, and he goes, well, I don't like the name Wicked Games. And he goes, why don't we change it? And Tim was like, nah, I want it to be Wicked Games. He goes, but that's a song, Wicked Game, and I can't remember the guy who does it. Chris Isaac. But they said, well, it's a wicked game. That was all coincidence. But Tim wanted Wicked Games. Actually, even before that, it was supposed to be Screaming, or no, not Screaming for Sanity. It was Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare Part 2. I think Truth or Dare Part 2 was supposed to be Truth or Dare 2, Screaming for Sanity. Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. And it ended up being Wicked Games, Truth or Dare Part 2. So, because I remember Tim telling Jeff that when Jeff Miller, when we were doing Truth or Dare, Tim goes, yeah, I'm going to do a sequel to this movie too. It's going to be called Truth or Dare, Screaming for Sanity. So it's still, that's cool background stuff, because a lot of people will be like, shit, I didn't know that. Yeah. So Wicked Games, Tim called me up, said he wanted to do this, and then Kermit was saying that, and then he was saying, no, it's going to be called, we're going to stick with the Wicked Games, it's going to be cool. And I remember telling Tim a lot, I go, geez, I'm not even there. A lot of my stuff, I was at my house, they would be shooting with Kermit. I said, geez, can you send me some stuff? And so I got all that footage, because Tim would make copies, and he would send me all the behind-the-scenes footage. And I think one day, it was almost every day, actually, we'd be shooting, and we got a high-8 camera, or Tim did, from somebody that made these cameras, and they said, use this camera in your movie, and you can have it for free. We want you to test market it. And the video would back out of the camera as Tim would be shooting, and you'd see the video start rolling out of the camera. And we'd go, oh no, and we'd stop. And I remember Kermit going, Tim, you got to do something about that camera. And I'm like, and he goes, well, we'll just regroup and do it next week. And I'm thinking, no, we're not regrouping and doing that. Rewind that in, do something. Let's get it to work. And I remember telling Kermit that too. I go, well, Kermit, I think we can knock this out if we can just, get that camera ready there. Oh, okay. It was just like he wanted to stop shooting and everybody go home. And I was vice versa. I go, no, we're here. We're going to finish this damn scene. And we did. And then Kermit would go, okay. And then we'd finish the scene. So that's how it was that camera would keep backing out. And then we'd open it and we'd reel the video back into the cassette and then put it back in and try it. And we'd get some footage and it would unwind out of there. So we ended up going back and shooting Wicked Games all over again with a different camera. So this time, instead of I think there was a scene with me and Trish, I think inside where we passed each other. There's supposed to be some sexual tension between me and her. And she'd be looking at me, ooh, Dan. And I'd be like, yeah, you're hot, mama. But we wouldn't do anything. It was just to see. That was indoors in the first one we shot. In the second one, Tim took it and put it outside, and we would kind of do the same thing. And we did kind of the same scenes, but we put them one time we're in an elevator, now we're not. Now we're out on the outside, then we're on the inside. So we shot the whole thing, and that's when we released the American release, but that second one got picked up later on down by a German distributor, and they released it, Truth or Dare 2, Wicked Games, the Snuff Redux. And that was the more graphic, and it was almost done in reverse, where you see the end of the movie at the beginning, and then it would backtrack through. So they're both cool. I remember Tim wasn't really happy with it, where at the very end of the movie, where Mike Strauber goes, do you want to play Truth or Dare? Because Tim wanted to make it more explain. One of the scripts was Mike Strauber got a hold of a monster truck. And I never kind of got it. I go, I don't know. That's like putting Jason inside of a car and running over. Jason's not supposed to be able to think like that. So he's going to be in a monster truck running over cars, and he wanted Bob Shelley to come down and blow the cars up. And we were supposed to be in the car, and the truck was going to drive over us, and the car would blow up under the truck. Because he got a guy with a monster truck, and I was kind of be supportive, but I was like, I don't think Mike Strauber would go get in a truck and drive over people. And then at the end of it, we were supposed to be in the car, and then the car with Kevin Scott Crawford, myself, and Kermit in a car at the end of the movie, and it was going to blow up. But it's just stuff we didn't work out, so it ended up being just a psychiatrist's office, and the whole thing. That was another thing about it. Tim didn't really like that, and I was kind of like, if Wizard of Oz. The whole movie was inside Mike Strauber's mind. And then part 3, it opens it up to now it's reality based, and now it's really happening.
Okay.
So, but still cool memories with, doing Wicked Games.
How did you get involved with the movie Creep and Jacker 2?
Trying to remember which one came first, Jack or Two or Creep. I think Creep came first because that is what Fangoria did a story on us. Notes from the Underground. We had like 6 pages in Fangoria. And I think that's where Phil Herman, either that magazine or Independent Video, that's when Phil Herman was looking through it. And he goes, look at this guy, Joel Wynkoop and Tim Ritter in Florida doing their movies. Because Phil was doing movies too. And that's how we reached out to each other. I think I reached out to him through Independent Video, and that's how Phil and I became very good friends. So Creep, I think that
you play a name by the name of Angus Lynch.
Yeah, Angus Lynch. And that came after Wicked Games, I think. Because I'm pretty sure it was before Screaming for Sanity. And Tim wrote a script. He goes, it's basically loosely based on Ed Gein. And he said, I want you to play this serial killer. And there's some stuff in there because the creep you see now in the movie is not that script. I have a copy of that script, but it's nothing like, it was a lot darker and a lot more real. And there was stuff in there. Tim was like, okay, you got to do this. And I read the script and I go, I don't want to do that. And then the whole rest of the script, I mean, and the name was Gus Finkelstein. Instead of Angus Lynch, he was Gus Finkelstein. And it read kind of more like you would read about Ed Gein and not as exciting and stuff. So Tim had that one, and then I was kind of like, whatever. I mean, I'm going to do whatever, but I didn't want to do those particular scenes, and I didn't think the whole script was that great. And then Tim told me, it was like, I remember being at Crystal Water, then hearing about Cathy Willits.
Okay.
And Tim and I talked, and she had her little thing for 2-3 months. And I think Tim and I talked about it. We said, wonder if we could get Cathy Willits to be one of our movies. Because now Tim's, he's got the original script, but he goes, maybe I can get Cathy Willits in the movie. And we both said, nah, what would she want to do a movie with us for? And the next thing you know, Tim's phone is ringing, and it was Cathy Willits' husband, Jeff. And he used an alias. He goes, this is David Parker, and I want to, have you make a movie with my wife. And I think he explained it all, said it all, and then Tim just goes, is this Jeff Willits, Cathy Willits' wife? He goes, oh, how'd you know? And he goes, well, you told me the whole story. So it was Tim that got together, him and Mike Ornelas. They got together with Cathy Willits and Jeff and worked out all the details. The next thing I knew, I was down in Miami doing a photo shoot with Cathy Willits. And I remember one night Tim called me on the phone after I'm home. The photo shoots, all this is stuff nobody knows. After the photo shoot, and he goes, hey man, I got to tell you something. And I go, and I'm on the phone, and I go, what? He goes, oh man, I don't know how to tell you. You're like my brother, man. I love you. I don't know how to say this to you. And I go, just tell me. I don't care. And he goes, well, I don't know, man. I don't want to tell you. And I go, dude, just tell me what could it possibly be? Well, Cathy Willits says that when you got real close to her, that your shirt smells. I'm thinking, that's it. So I told him, I go, Tim, that thing is packed away in my storage unit for like 10 years. I wore that at Crystal Water. The buttons were so tight on me because I, got bigger since when I was driving the truck. And, or not at Crystal Water, at FEC News. Oh, okay. I didn't want you to be mad at me because I was saying that. I go, no, I could have took it. Oh, he told Mike Ornelas is the one that told him. He goes, hey, Cathy's complaining because Joel's shirt smells. And Tim goes, well, I don't know. Maybe Joel put it on and ran around and jumped in the mud and the dirt and rolled around in it trying to get the character. No, don't tell him to do that. Tell him not to do that. and then, so anyway, that's how that whole thing worked out. So I said, well, if I work with Cathy, I better wash the shirt and gain or something before I go see her. And man, I got stories about Cathy Willits and I in the grave. I don't know if I covered all that, but when we shot, because I was like, I'm here. There's this guy, and I'm like, wow, I'm shooting with Cathy Willits. This is America's favorite nymphomaniac, and she's putting flashlights inside of her and showing men, and stripping and all this, and she's big, and so they're like, tell me how you're gonna meet her. I go, oh, that's pretty cool. So I remember her walking through the door at the photo shoot and me looking, going, oh wow, she's a good looking woman. And she comes in and then we talking and she's really nice. And I remember being out of the room after we did a whole bunch of scenes with Cathy, like me strangling her and stuff. And I went out of the room to do something.
Mm-hmm.
She had told Tim, she goes, man, that Joel guy, he really gets into his roles. And then Jeff was saying, he goes, man, he's really good. I mean, he can really act crazy when he wants. And Tim was like, oh, yeah, Joel, turn it on, but he's a real nice guy. And so we shot a whole bunch of stuff there that, the professional photographer came out, took all the pictures. And then the next thing we know, we're at my nephew's house. I think it was the second day. He let Tim and I shoot a scene for Creep there with Cathy. Me and Kat, and I was nervous because I'm like, oh, here I am with America's favorite nymphomaniac. She's in my car. Are we going to do something? But no, we just drove the car down, parked, get out, did our dialogue in the backyard. I kill the boyfriend that she's with, and then we leave. And I remember that day we were shooting, and the neighbors were like, wah, racing their motorcycles and shit. And I don't think it was Tim. I think Tim just said, Joel, can you? I go tell him to stop driving. Go to the neighbors and tell them to shut the F up so we can shoot our movie. So as I'm walking over there, I think Mark went with me, and there was a guy over there, run. He's revving his cycle, and he looks at me and he goes, let me guess, you want me to turn our motorcycles off? I go, man, if you guys would just do that, we'd really appreciate it. And I think Mark said, you can come over and get some hot dogs and stuff. No, oh, okay, thanks. So kind of took over that neighborhood in Loxahatchee. And then the grave scene was when we were in the grave, we were shooting the scene, and as Cathy and I were actually kissing, Tim goes, cut, freeze, don't move a muscle. So me and Cathy are kind of lip to lip, and so we can't move. We're just frozen kissing there because I think Tim did it on purpose, being funny. But he's like, oh, Joel's probably enjoying himself, so I'll just let him be like that. Now, when they did call cut for us to break apart, Cathy kind of went off script, and she grabbed my pants and tried to yank them down. And I remember Tim's Cathy and another guy, his wife was there. They both turned the opposite way, and she was yanking on my belt. And she goes, get it out, get it out. And I go, and I was just trying to be calm and regular and everything. So I go, oh, no, my wife can only get in there. And she goes, I want it out. And she's yanking on it. And finally, Tim goes, oh, Cathy, we got to do this scene, because she completely went off script. I was supposed to cut her throat, push her into the grave, and she turned around and came back out of the grave with me, and she kicked me in the chest. And that led to another thing, because when she kicked me in the chest, she told Tim at one point, she goes, I'm going to sue you and Joel because I got red dye in my hair, and it's wrecked my hair. And Tim came to me, and he goes, hey, man, Cathy Willits is going to sue us. And I go, really? For what? She got red blood in her hair. Really? I think she broke one of my ribs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she broke one. He goes, what do you mean? I go, didn't you see her karate kick me in the chest? Oh, yeah. I go, yeah, I think my ribs are broke. I'm going to have to sue her. And then Tim went back to her and goes, Joel's going to sue you because you broke his. Oh, just forget the whole thing. It's red food coloring. It comes right out. So, and I do remember we had some stuff there because she was like, can I take a shower with Joel? And I was like, oh, God, I'm getting in so much trouble here. But Jeff said, no, we're going home right now. Because I'm trying to, do the movie, but it's fun and everything. But I'm trying to, oh, she wants to take a shower. I don't know if we should do this. And yeah. And we paid her a lot. We had to oh God, Tim and I spent a lot of money on that movie. I took some money from my 401k, and Tim took money, and we brought and then Jim, one of the guys on the set, one of the not effects guys, but one of the camera guys, he called in Current Affair, and he goes, well, I had to order all this food to be big time, but you and Joel got to pay for it. So, or it was me, Tim, and I think Mike had to pay for it. But a big, huge spread that cost thousands of dollars. And Current Affair came in, and they were all impressed. They came in the daytime. We're going to come back when the graveyard scene at night. And then the whole thing happened when Current Affair was there. They taped it all. And that was pretty cool because we thought, this is it, man. We're going to be big time. Current Affairs here. So that's a lot of stuff from Creep. I mean, the crazy stuff that happened on that. I mean,
okay,
a lot of fun, but lots of stuff happened.
What about Jacker 2? How did you get involved with that?
Jacker 2, I think now Phil and I have become friends because he's read this article on me. So, and then there was one on Independent Video, and then I called him and got a hold of his number, and I go, hey, hello, is this Phil Herman? It's something like this. And he goes, yeah, who's this? I go, hey, man, I don't sound like whatever, but I'm Joel Wynkoop. I'm an actor here in town, and I was wondering if you do, I read an article about you, an independent video, if you do just like what we do, or you're big time, or you're just struggling. No, man, I'm a struggling filmmaker too. And I go, oh, cool. I go, I'm Joel Wynkoop. I did this movie, Creep. And he's like, yeah, we saw you. We saw you in Fangoria. We thought that was so cool. And he goes, well, yeah, I want, and I think that was the first one was Jacker 2. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so Phil said, he goes, I want you to do a scene in Jacker 2. And I go, okay, cool. And then, of course, I watched Jacker to see what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And we had a girl from Creep. So, and I remember I met her at the hotel before Tim and Mike got there, because I got to the hotel early. So, because I said, I want to swim in that pool and everything. And then she came up. I was up by the room by then. She came in. I think she was there. We were there like maybe, I don't know, 40 minutes. And then Mike showed up. And then Tim showed up. And then it was just going to be a scene where Phil's character, the Jacker, he kicks open the door. He sees me walk into the hotel room, my character, and I leave the keys in the door. I said, I think that'd be funny. The dumbass leaves the keys in the door. Anybody could just walk in on you. So I left the keys there. And then Phil, shooting his scenes in New York, goes to a hotel or an apartment complex. Mm-hmm. And he looks up like at the second floor. Then we intercut the second floor with me and him like watching in New York, me shooting my scenes in Florida and intercutting it so it looks like they're there together. Then he uses the key, pushes open the door, and me and the girl are getting it on. She's a girl from Creep. We're on the bed, kind of really going to town there, and she's pretty much naked. And I go, hey, man, what are you doing in this room? You can get out of here. And he goes, I'm the Jacker. And he shoots me, and I fly back. And then I think we were being pretty sick. But I said, you should come in and go, they don't call me the Jacker for nothing. But I think he said something like that, or I think he toned it down and just goes, now let me get to see you better, baby. And he comes in and it cuts to me dead, and it cuts to her looking like, oh my God. And then bam, it's supposed to go like he's on her and he rapes her and kills her and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was the extent of my scenes in Jacker 2. It just works into the movie. The big thing from Jacker 2 was the girl, and she said this in an interview. She goes, that's all I'm ever remembered for is the girl that gives the blowjobs in Clerks. There's that girl in Clerks, and she said, he's asking about how many times she's had sex, and she's like, I haven't had any sex. She goes, but I've gave 63 blowjobs. He goes, what? And she said that in one of her interviews. She goes, that's all they remember. They won't remember my name. They just remember I'm the girl that said I gave the blowjob. But she's in that with Phil. So that's you're pretty much a cool star to have, independent flick. Phil got a hold of her and put her in the movie. So, but
definitely.
That was me for Jacker 2.
All right. After that, you got involved with director Kevin Lindenmuth and his alien agenda, Out of the Darkness. At least from what I can see, you played father in a segment called Worm.
Yeah, that was with Sasha Graham, which also she had a really big name. I think now she does clairvoyant stuff, but then she was really acting. And so I thought, because Tim told me, he goes, you're going to do a scene. You're supposed to be Sasha Graham's dad. And you're really, really, mean dad. Mm-hmm. I go, cool. And it's just, and Kevin wanted me because I remember him telling me, because I really want you to be in this movie, Joel. And I go, cool, man, thank you. And so I went over to Tim's apartment, him and Kathy's apartment. Mm-hmm. And I remember and it's very brief, but it was a fun scene to do. I had the shaving cream on, and I'm supposed to, Tim would make the camera come around the corner like it was a little girl looking up at me. And I go, what do you want? What do you want, you little rat? Kind of like that. And a couple scenes back and forth, because it was just, I think they had a little girl. I think they did, or it was Sasha's memory. I think it was supposed to be. But all it was me kind of yelling at the camera. And I think I did it 3 or 4 times. And I put my fist up and go, I should knock the crap out of you or something. And that made one of the covers of Alternative Cinema, which I thought was pretty cool to get on the cover. But again, that was a brief one, for Kevin, because he told me, he got and told Tim, and I think he said, can you get that guy Joel in it and you shoot it? And Tim was like, oh yeah, we'll do that. That's where it started we did start to branch out, because it was after Creep, because once that Fangoria thing, then people started knowing about us, and then that doors started opening.
Okay. After that particular project, you were in something called the Spacey Brothers. What was that about?
Oh, Spacey Brothers. Yeah, that was Bill Castanelli called me up one day and he goes, Joel, there's a film crew going to be in Miami next week. They're doing a movie called Spacey Brothers. You want to go down? Then I go, yeah. So I don't know how the process was. Like you had to go through I think maybe an agent, or they weren't using agents. Mm-hmm. They did, but they were, but you could show up and blah, blah. But it was just an extra.
Okay.
And I go, I'm not above doing anything. I'm going to do whatever's going to get me out there. Extra work, and speaking role, non-speaking role, big set, talk show, whatever. So, and Bill's a good friend of mine. And so we drove down to, it was either Miami or Fort Lauderdale, and got to the set. I think it was a dance club or something. Mm-hmm. And it was funny too, because the director probably didn't like me right away, because mm-hmm. I went to Bill and I go, man, I met the producer, the director, the stunt guys, and I was getting into the stunt guys. Hey, what if you did this? And then they were probably like, who the hell is this guy telling us how to throw punches and stuff? But I was so interested in that, and they were always like shooing me away. And then I went to the director and I said, so what's going on? He's telling me all about it, but then all of a sudden I would go to get to the director, and I don't think it was a producer. I think it was somebody else. He would get in front of me and he goes, oh, you can talk to me if you want. And I was like, he doesn't want me to talk to him anymore. Because I don't know. I just had ideas and stuff. So I do remember there's a dance scene, and I totally agree with the guy. I heard him. Bill was here. I was here. There was girls all around us and different guys, and they're supposed to be achy breaky heart, my achy breaky heart. Or what's the song, country. I can't dance. I'm like trying to do it, and I heard the camera guy, because he's right in front of me, and he goes, everybody else is good, but that dude can't dance. They're talking about me. So I was like, oh, I didn't want to be in this scene anyway. Get me out of here. But that I remember the director telling me, he goes, yeah, or I think a director or producer, but he said, young guy, he goes, well, I had all this money from them and they didn't want to do it, and they were complaining, so I gave all their money back, but then I got all their money back again, and now we're shooting it. But I don't think that movie ever came out. I know one time, I think when it was being represented or was there is when it went up on IMDb. But I remember contacting the guy like 4 years ago. I found him on Facebook of all places. And I'm pretty sure he said that I'm pretty sure he said it never came out.
Okay.
Or he may have said it came out. I don't know, but it was so long ago. But yeah, that was just extra work. I did some dancing, and then I tried to get on the fight scenes. They wouldn't let me. And but it was more just Bill and I were having a good time. Because I did a Star Trek convention in 1996, and Bill and I went to that, and he hung out with me all day. It was just fun to be with your friend there, and that's the Spacey Brothers, just being able to be with Bill, and we hung out all day and got to be on a movie.
So after that, you got involved with Kevin Lindenmuth again in Alien Agenda, Endangered Species, and Addicted to Murder, Tainted Blood.
Yep, Alien Agenda, Endangered Species. That was right after Creep and right before Rot, I think. And Tim called me up. Yeah, because I remember taking footage with me on VHS to Marcus's apartment so I could show the other actors when we were making the movie Rot, so I could say, hey, here's what I've been doing, and nobody cared. I don't think anybody even watched it. Marcus didn't. I know that. And so one of the things we had to do, though, was Tim wrote this. I always get this confused, because I think Tim wrote the story or Kevin wrote the story, but Tim controlled the character, or it was Tim wrote the story and Kevin controlled the character, because I used the character again, getting permission from Kevin, which I think he said Tim owns that. You got to get permission from Tim. So I think it was something like that. Mm-hmm. And there was all these cool action things in there. One of them was being attacked by an alligator. And I can't remember if Tim was talking to Marcus first, but anyway, it turned out that Marcus could make this alligator, which was, I don't know, I guess that's about 4 foot, 5 foot, the big snout that opens up. And so we went, and so Marcus, built this whole thing we paid him $200. And Jonathan Dickinson State Park was one of the places we shot for Kevin. And again, Kevin was like, yeah, Joel, I really like your acting. I want you to be in this movie. And I think Tim made up the name Cope Ransom. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. And then Tim and I said we were basically doing Escape from New York. I mean, that's
Okay.
what I was doing. And even Fangoria magazine, this is one of the articles that I remember when they reviewed Alien Agenda Endangered Species. They said Joel Wynkoop has all the raw charisma of Alan Hale Jr., who is the skipper on Gilligan's Island. And I said, well, screw you, Fangoria. I don't care. I happen to like Alan Hale Jr. on Gilligan and the Wild Wild West. A lot of people don't know he did that too. So we're doing it. We went to Jonathan Dickinson State Park. There was one scene when I was in the these are all stories that nobody knows. I got in the canoe. I was way out in the middle, acting, and Tim's on the shore and he's, videoing it. And I'm going across the water. And then Kathy, Tim's wife, yells to me. She goes, Joel, they're surrounded by alligators. And they were circling the canoe. Now, I couldn't see them, but I guess she saw them because I was looking at it. But I guess like bubbles were coming up and she was swirling stuff around me. She goes, come in, don't tip over. They're going to eat you. And I was like, oh, shit. So I paddled in. When I was out there, Tim and Marcus and two of his crew and Kathy, they were walking along the shoreline and they walked right up to like within a foot of it. There was a gator laying there, a big 8-foot gator. And Tim caught it first. He just stopped everybody and he goes, everybody back up really slow because it was just laying there in front of him. And Jonathan Dickinson, that's part of the thing. You at the park, a gator will come out of the water. You just got to watch yourself there. So that happened. And then we were in another scene where I was shooting a scene where I held the gun down and Kathy was underneath me with a syringe full of blood to shoot up in my face because it was for another scene when I shoot a guy. And when I was standing there with the gun, Rich Hoops, our sound guy, was way back behind the bushes where he couldn't be seen. Tim was past the tree line with the camera where he couldn't be seen. But where the tree line ended was where the police could see me with a gun pointed at a girl. And as I was pointing it, sure enough, they said, you drop your weapon now. And like a dummy, don't ever do this. I turned like this with the gun in my hand. And the other cop dropped to his knees. They already had their guns drawn. And they go, drop it now or you're a dead man. And I go, okay. And I threw the gun. And they go, are those weapons on your belt? And I go, yeah, they're all over me. Because I had a machete and nunchucks and other guns and a ton of stuff. And they go, drop it off your belt now. I go, I can't. They're taped to my body. That's the only way to keep this stuff. They weren't on the belt. They were like taped on there. So I think they said, get the belt off slowly. And I reached down, I unhooked the belt and all the weapons were on it and I dropped it. And then they approached and Tim had no idea what was going on because he couldn't really hear him. And Rich didn't know what was going on. He's like, something's going on out there. And so as Tim and Rich started coming in and Kathy's still below me, and you know what that looks like. And then here come the two, there were state officers of the park putting their guns away. They go, what's going on here? And I go, oh, we're just shooting a scene for a movie. And then they're like, permits. And Tim pulled out the permits. So everything was okay. But then I saw those two cops because I told Tim, I said, I got to get us some Gatorade or something. I'm dying out here. And they didn't have Gatorade, but they had the equivalent to Gatorade, Powerade. So I went into the shop, and this is all Jonathan Nicholson, and I bought the drinks, and the cops were across the way. They were in there, and I looked at him, and I go, hey, man. And he looks at me, and they recognize me immediately, and I go, because I'm still in the outfit. And I go, hey, man, thanks for not shooting me. And the one cop goes, I would have missed. My partner would have took your leg off. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for not shooting. And another one in there was when I was all dressed as Cope Ransom with the long hair and the bandana and the trench coat, and I really looked like a vagrant. And Mike Ronallis goes, I dare you to go into McDonald's and order some food for us. And I go, I don't care, I'll go. So I went to McDonald's like that, and people were getting out of my way. I think I was standing in line, and people just got out of my way, and they go, take this guy. And I got Big Mac, Coke, whatever. Come back to the car, and I got my Big Mac, give one to Mike, and Tim goes, come on, Joel, you got to meet your co-star. And I go, oh, okay, cool. So we start walking to this car, and he goes, yeah, I think you're really going to like her. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm working with a girl. This will be fun. And he goes, yeah, she's right here in this car. And I go, oh, what's she doing in the car? And he opens the door, and oh, she's under the seat. And I go, what do you mean she's under the seat? And then the Wrangler comes and he reaches out and he pulls out a 16-foot boa constrictor and he's pulling it all out and it's around his neck. And I'm backing up like, what's he doing? You're going to do a scene. Tim goes, you're going to do a scene with it. I go, I'm not doing a scene with that thing. Come on, man. And the guy's like, it's okay. She just ate. So we go from the McDonald's to the location where Frank Wales had actually written on an old abandoned bus out there. He wrote Truth or Dare on the side. It's a pretty cool scene. And they lay that boa constrictor down, and it's just doing this. It's just swishing back and forth. It's moving. And Tim's like, get in there, walk between it. And I'm going, yeah, easy. You come in here and walk between it. And so I asked the guy, I go, wait a minute, man. I get out there and start walking around that. Is it going to snake up and all twirl around me? Oh, no, it just ate. The worst it'll do is it might bite you and leave 2 big holes on you, but that's no big deal. I go, no, it's going to bite me. The head was this big. I go, I don't want that thing biting me. So that was pretty funny. And then Tim would go, Joel, can you do it again? Oh, God. The snake was going someplace, and he would grab the tail, and he'd pull it all the way back out. He goes, okay, now do it. And I go, it's head, and I'm stepping over the head, and I got the gun pointed at it. Not that that's going to do anything, but he goes, point the gun at it. And then at the end, he's going, okay, we're going to put it around your shoulders for a picture from – no. And they ended up putting the thing around my shoulders, and I think Tim was on one end, the Wrangler on the other. Take the pictures and get this over with. That had a lot of cool stories, and that's stuff that nobody really would know. I don't even know if we have that on behind-the-scenes stuff. I probably have it somewhere. But those are little things about, when you're independently, making a movie. I think James Van Beber, who's a friend of mine here in Tampa, when he did Deadbeat by Dawn, the one scene, he just ran out in the street with a Molotov cocktail. When it was like 2 a.m, there's no trying, and he just threw it into the middle of the street, and the thing hit the ground, and it blew up. And all right, I got my scene. What you do for your movies,
Right. So after Endangered Species, you did Tainted Blood, correct?
What was it?
Tainted Blood, Addicted to Murder.
Oh, Addicted to Murder. Yeah, Addicted to Murder. I think that was Addicted to Murder. Part 2, Tainted Blood. Yeah, I didn't. Another one that again, but it was cool to have to be able to do something as an actor, and then have these other filmmakers look at you and go, "I really want you in my movie." And that was Kevin again. He goes, "Can you get that guy Joel to be in my movie again?" Did Murder, and so that was cool. It wasn't like out doing something action or moving and stuff. It was just going to be, it's supposed to play, he wanted me to play Dan Hess again. But that's another cool thing. I played Dan Hess like in a bunch of my movies with Tim, and even a standalone. We did a movie called Hess, a short, which tacks into all the Truth or Dares. Plus Dan Hess, I played him in, well, we turned it around in part 1 saying that was Dan Hess behind security, but in actuality, I had a badge that said Steve. But Tim said, well, we're going to say that was Dan Hess when he was young. And then I played him in part 2, part 3. I wasn't in part 4. I was in part 4 a little bit, kind of playing a Mike Strauber scene and some stuff at the end that I created. And then, of course, I was in part 5. And then we did the short Hess, which, again, playing that character. But then I did Hess for Ryan Cavallini. And there's like 4 or 5 other filmmakers that said, we want you to play Dan Hess in this movie. So it was kind of cool how that character grew and people wanted. So in Addicted to Murder, I play Dan Hess again. But I'm just in front of the camera, and I had the Dan Hess glasses on. And I remember I couldn't get my lines down. So Kathy Ritter had wrote them all on a poster board. I mean, there's long lines. And she held them up so I could basically just read them off. But I think what was funny about it, we did so many takes. And then Tim at the end, he goes, now throw those cards away and do the scene, Joel. And I was like, without the cards? And he goes, yeah, you can do it. I got faith in you. Do it. And I read them over and over and over. I had memorized it. And then did the scenes. And that was about it. It was just kind of looking at the camera going, the thing about the psychopath is that they will become or something, whatever the lines were. It was a lot of talky lines, but yeah, then he put it in the movie, and then that's it. That's as much as, I'm in it. It just goes to all of a sudden a scene of this doctor talking about, psychopaths and why they're that way and why they would think they're vampires or something like that. And that was my whole dialogue for Addicted to Murder 2 Tainted Blood.
Okay. How about your part or role in Truth or Dare 3?
Screaming for Sanity. That's when we did. I remember making an answering machine thing. You know, when we didn't have like voicemails, like we didn't have cell phones.
Okay.
We just had our phones, and you'd have a little answering machine. And my answering machine was something like, we stopped all the aliens, and something. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's something like, we stopped the aliens, and we stopped this from happening. Now it's time to get back to insane madness with Truth or Dare 3, Screaming for Sanity. Beep! You know, you have that. And trying to remember how that all came. I think, well, Tim had wrote it.
Okay.
And I think I said, well, I can get I can get crystal water. I can get that location. He goes, oh, cool. We can shoot in there. And I go, yeah, I think I can get my boss to let me do that. It's a bottling plant. And, you know, you think of Presidio. They use a bottling plant in Presidio. And so I said, yeah, I think I can get that. And because I remember the day later after we did some stuff, I told my boss, and I go, hey, Greg, yeah, let me tell you what we did yesterday. Because I don't want to know anything you did on the plant. I know nothing about it. And but yeah, because I just, you know, pretty much there was a second story, and I wasn't, you know, I wasn't told not to do it. Because I remember when I said, because my boss just gave me the keys. He goes, just lock it up when you're done. So they trusted me to do that. In fact, when we were leaving, I said, I just want to make sure everything's okay. I grabbed the back door to see if it was locked. And when I whipped it, the door wasn't locked. I whipped it open. All the alarms went off. And I looked at Tim. I go, did you go to the next location? I got to wait for the cops. I got to call my boss. And my boss was like, I knew this was going to happen if I let you do it. Stay there till the cops get there. Or he goes, tell the cops it's okay. You can leave. And I told the cops, he goes, we're not leaving. We're not leaving this door open. We're staying right here until someone comes and locks it. So I called my boss, and he's like, oh, man, I'm trying to watch baseball. He had to stop what he was doing, come down to the plant, lock it all up. And then I had to leave. I went and found Tim. And in the meantime, we had a friend was like, oh, there's something wrong with my Super VHS camera. And you guys got a Super VHS camera, and you're not doing anything. Come over to my house. I want to open up your Super VH camera, take something out of it, put it in mine, make sure it works. Then you can have it back. And I was telling Tim this, and he goes, no way, man. What if he pulls it out and breaks it and gives it back to us, and then we don't have a camera to shoot on anymore? And I go, yeah, you're right. I want to help the guy out, but I don't want to, you know, damage ours. And then we paid, and then Kathy K. Kurtz, paid her $300 ahead of time. We had met her, went down to Lauderdale to meet her, took her out for dinner and everything, and got her that she was going to be my girlfriend in the movie. And yeah, went back. We shot that at Rich Hoop's house. Let's see. Then we went to Crystal Water. We shot some scenes there. We shot a bathroom scene, and we shot at a hotel. Okay. We paid to shoot at the hotel where we auditioned for it, I think. Yeah, we had auditions there. And I remember the owner was Patel. I forget his first name, but Mr. Patel. And he goes, can I be in the movie? And I go, yeah, we'll put you in there. So, and a good friend of mine was in that well, recently, like last 4 years, he died of cancer, but he was in that movie. And Buzz LaChance was his name. And so, yeah, then we went to a couple I think we went to my video store. I said, we can go to this video store I get videos from. And we shot the scenes where my character, Dan Hess, finds a car and steals it. And then that's when he follows the guy to the water plant, or follows him to Sunnyvale Mental Institution. And then the camera kind of focuses on the back of the car, and that's where I'm inside the trunk, and the trunk opens, and I climb out of the trunk and go inside the water plant. And then we have a big fight in the water plant. If you've seen it, the killer comes crashing through the water bottles, and then I punch him and back fist him and punch him, and then I grab a bottle and smash it on his face. And then I run, which we never should do. We ran to I said, look, we can just climb up this to the second story. We didn't. Should not have climbed up to the second story, and then we had Jeff Allen had the mask on, doing the stunt work. He follows me up to the second story, climbing up that thing, which we both could have fell off of because it wasn't meant for climbing. But we went up all into the top, and then I'm supposed to be looking for pipes, and I turn around, and he's standing at the other end, and I take the pipe, and I go, come on, you son of a bitch. And then he comes at me, and I start hitting him with this pipe, and then punch him to the stomach. Because Dan Hess he's supposed to be a doctor, and then it was like, supposed to be a doctor, but then in the dream sequence, he was a cop, but then now he became a doctor and went to be a cop, and then retired, and then he was the detective. So he's an ass kicker, too. So I'm beating the crap out of him, and then just with one, you're so wound up and so tied up. I went under Jeff Allen, and I went up under his legs, and I think I had my hand around his neck, and I picked him up over my head. So I had him like this, and then I walked him to the edge of the building. And as I was holding him there for the shot, he screamed, he goes, "Don't throw me, Joel, don't throw me." And then I put him down, and then, of course, that's where I pick up a dummy, which you can really tell when it's thrown off that it ain't a human, which was used in Smokey and the Bandit too. I throw that dummy off the roof, and of course it crashes, and I go down, and that's Clive Stanley, and he pulls the mask off, and then he's talking to me, and then I go, "No, give me the gun," and I'm like, "No," and he puts the gun to his head and kills himself. And but that was a really fun movie to do, because to me, that's my favorite truth. When people say like, "Oh, my favorite truth that airs 2 or it's 5," and to me 3 will always be my favorite, because I got to do so much in that. And Tim would always let me go. He was never like, "No." In Creep, he did that. He goes, he after we shot the scene, he goes, "Oh, it's not what you're supposed to do, but you were having so much fun. I couldn't. I didn't want to. He goes, "I didn't want to stop you. You're having too much fun." And one of the camera guys, when I did something just off the top of my head, he goes, "Man, can you fucking do that again? That was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen." I flipped out on the car, and I was pulling on the steering wheel and beating on the window, and I punched my windshield and just going crazy. And by the time we finished it, Rusty Durham said, "Man, that was fucking cool. Do that again." But yeah, so Screaming for Sanity, that's still my favorite Truth or Dare. And lots of fun doing that. And we were at Palm Beach Junior College, was actually Sunnyvale Mental Institution, which it was in the first one. And I think we cut away to it in part 2, and then it's also in there in part 3. And part 4 was just shot in Kentucky, and I just I think Tim just said, if you want to shoot some scenes, but we're not using Dan Hess. And I think Tim told me that a lot of people that watch the Truth or Dare movies, they were like, when part 4 came, they go, "Well, what happened to Dan Hess? Where's he at?" So when part 5 came out, people were like, "Yeah, he's back. Cool." So, but yes, Screaming for Sanity was a blast. I remember one thing, we were in the route room, and we were all having lunch, and all the guys' names are on this board, and there's me and Mike Odom and Art Wood and all these other guys. There's like 7 of our names up there. And then you have next to your name, you have how many deals you made for the month, like how many water coolers you put out. And I had like, I don't know, 17 or 20. And the other guys were like 6, 2, 4, 3. And you had to get that or you get in trouble if you didn't get your quota. And Kathy said a funny thing. She was sitting there and she goes, "And as you can see, Joel's number 1 on the board." I go, you're absolutely right. I am number 1 on the board. But yeah, a fun movie to shoot. I remember Tim asking me when we were in the warehouse, he goes, "I wish we could use this thing." And I go, "What, the forklift?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's cool." He goes, "Can you drive it?" I go, "Can I drive it? Of course I can drive a forklift." And so I moved the forklift, and that's when we moved water racks around. And I was supposed to cover up all the Crystal Water logos. And the first time Jeff Allen, and I told him, I go, "Just push me. Don't worry about it." So he pushed me like that with the, looking like, Mike Strauber. And I flew backwards and I hit those water coolers that we all lined up. But all the cardboard that was on them all went aside. And you got a good close up on my face. And right next to it says Crystal Springs Water Company. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for that." but a fun experience between the hotel and that and everywhere shooting that movie. Oh, very cool. One other thing about that, and I'll end it because I bring it up all the time. I'm at home one day after we shot Screaming for Sanity, and I'm at home, and the phone rings, and I answered. I go, "Hello?" And it's Tim, and he goes, "Joel, Twisted Illusions." And I go, "Hey, man, what's going on?" "Learn your lines." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Look, man, I don't mean to yell at you, but you got to learn your lines." He goes, that was a nightmare trying to put that together because you keep changing the lines." I go, "Oh, man, I'm sorry." I go, "Sometimes my brain I'm trying to do the lines and trying to do hers, and I'm trying to do him and that guy in the background, and I'm sorry. He goes, no. He goes, it's okay, but learn your lines. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
At this moment, I would like to welcome our second guest here, which is your partner and I believe your wife, Cathy or Catherine Wynkoop, correct?
There she is. See if I can turn that straight. Yes, this is my wife, Cathy Wynkoop. You can see she's very pretty. She's just doesn't feel very good today. She hasn't in the last couple of days. So
I'm sorry that you don't feel that great today, but I thank you for your time.
Okay, she's here.
So I wanted to ask you from you first. How did you meet Joel here, and how did you get involved in the acting community?
Excuse me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you.
Awesome. Well, I met Joel in Brandon back in 1999. My best friend, Walter Macedo, was actually working with him on, was it Brain Robbers from Outer Space? And he's like, oh, you can meet Joel, and he's in this, done a lot of movies. And I had actually seen the Creep poster a million times at our friend Garland's house, and I'm like, that guy? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that'd be interesting. Because if you've seen the Creep cover of Creep, you're like, yeah, that looks like a great guy. So anyway, we met, and I think Joel was coming down to do what were the shows called?
For David Vogel?
It was on Community Network.
Oh, Tampa Bay Community Network. Yeah, they did a thing on Rot. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So, I went and we met him briefly. I think I saw people from Table 12, and then we went to they did the Community Network thing. I was in the audience. I'm cracking up the whole time because they put up a whole little kind of a funny like fake fight scene and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Okay.
Out to like Denny's and like afterwards, and he's being really flirtatious and sweet. And I'm like, I remember pulling my best friend. Like, well, who's this Joel guy? What's his deal? Oh, he's harmless. He's fine. I'm like, okay. And then that was pretty much the end of it because I had to leave that night because my dad's birthday or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't see him again until April of 2000. And we were all eating at like a Village Inn or Denny's, and they were starting to do Fall of an Actor. And Garland's like, well, why don't we do a scene where Cathy is like your girlfriend and she walks you to the door and, you come in and do the whole scene that they had planned out. And he's like, well, I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Because I'd always been interested in acting, but I hadn't done anything professionally yet.
Mm-hmm. So
as we're getting ready to do the scene, they're like, well, what if you guys kiss? And, Joel's like, well, I'm fine with it. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, I'll do it. So we do it. So our actual very first kiss ever is in Fall of an Actor.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool to say your first kiss is actually immortalized on a VHS or DVD nowadays. Yeah. So that was basically how it happened.
Okay. The first project that I'm going to ask you about is where you played Dr. Kimberly Brooks in Dirty Cotton, No Donut. How did you get involved with that?
Well, I don't remember how did that come out? We were doing the
Kimberly Brooks is when you were doing the audio commentary.
It's the audio commentary, but Dirty Cop had been out for a little while.
Yeah.
I don't know how we decided to do it, but we got another actor, Gus, to play like a security guard or something. Joel played Gus Kimball, his character, and I was playing a psychiatrist. So we did the commentary in character.
Okay.
For the so like we're showing him the movie, saying, "See, none of this is real. Why did you do this?" And of course, he tries to kill us. So that was awesome. That was actually a lot of fun because I remember my foil got totally destroyed in that. My cooking utensils got all messed up in that, but it was fun.
Okay.
You were banging it. You were like crushed it all on your hands and everything because you get too excited.
Oh. Yeah, that's the audio commentary on SRS Studios' release of Dirty Cop at No Donut. like she said, we do it all in character. So I'm Gus Kimball talking, and Kathy's talking as Kimberly Brooks, and Gus is there playing the police officer. So it's pretty. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about you? What about your role? What did you do in Dirty Cop No Donut? Anything else than just Gus or?
I think he's talking to you, Joel.
Oh, are you talking to me or Kathy?
Yes, Joel. I'm talking to you.
For what I did in Dirty Cop No Donut?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I just played Gus Kimball in Dirty Cop 1 and Dirty Cop 2. Just playing Gus Kimball through the whole movie.
Okay. After that project, you were involved in Tales for Midnight Hour as Alice. Kathy, correct?
Yes, I don't remember.
Tales for the Midnight Hour.
I don't remember a lot of that. Oh, I think I'm the lady that gives the interview with you.
Yeah.
You're like a cop.
Yeah, I'm a cop, and I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I have such a bad memory. I'm so sorry.
That's not a problem. And then I guess you were.
Well, she played I was supposed to be a cop, and Garland was a undercover agent. And at one point, Garland leaves, and Kathy comes in, and she's supposed to be explaining to me that, well, this guy's stalking me because this is a story Phil Herman wrote, or Phil Herman or Ryan Cavallini. And so that's how Kathy got worked into that, playing the girl that was being stalked, and she was telling the police about it. Okay.
And then after that, I guess you were involved in a project called Evil Tales 3, the final chapter, as a female detective.
You come to the police station.
Oh, okay. Is that
you watch the tape?
Yeah, we're watching the tape. It's weird because some of these things I remember. Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember filming. He has to remind me, but I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
You were playing a doctor.
Yeah.
And I played Dan Hess in that too.
There, exactly. Yeah.
And then Gus was in it. Gus was the other
detective.
Or maybe you were a cop. You were a cop, and Gus was a cop.
And I were detectives watching the video.
Yeah.
How was that?
And it was funny because Gus does a line. He says, well, you can't. He's talking to Kathy, and he goes, well, you got to stop beating the shit out of all your perpetrators or something like that. And Kathy goes, oh, I just get so mad. I beat them up.
And I guess you were also in a segment, the segment that we talked about last time for Dessert, and Twisted Illusions too, as Dr. Kimberly Brooks again.
Yeah. Yes, that was actually that was a lot of fun because that's when I remember a lot of the smaller ones, but that's when I remember more vividly. I think we shot it in like 2 days.
Is that the part?
Yeah, the part.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun because I think Joel told the story where the twist is that Gus and I are basically psychos and we let him out, or his character out. The one thing I remember very much in that movie was at the very end, I'm kissing Gus.
Okay.
And this other actor, his name was Richard, he's supposed to come in and it's like, break it up, what's going on here? And then it goes on into the scene. So he's supposed to come in at the end of the kiss. He couldn't remember his line.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't a big line. I had this lipstick on that these girls had said. They're like, hey, you can't, it's going to be so hard to get off. You'll need like baby oil, this and that. Well, apparently kissing somebody 50 times in a movie, it comes off. But yeah, we were almost like, is he doing this on purpose or what? Because the line was like, break it up. It's not a hard line. But yeah, we had to do that scene over and over and over and over and over and over and over. But it was still a fun movie to shoot. And then I think, was it the same weekend that we did Time for Dessert?
We did Time for Dessert the right after that.
Yeah, so we did 2 movies like in, I think, just 1 weekend.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun because just transforming even a hotel room, because when you see us sitting at a table doing the interview with Joel's character, I remember I think we had moved the couch up onto the bed, so we had more room.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
3 people sitting on the couch that's on the bed.
Yeah,
it was very funny. Right. Very, very funny.
Okay, and after
funny joke or story about Joel that when the girls put all the makeup on me, he walks in the door and he's like, "Okay, everybody leave."
So after Twisted Illusions 2, you got involved with a project called Raising the Snakes, where you played the voice of a vampire.
Yeah, that was fun. It was more like a kind of like an Elvira character.
Okay.
Yeah, it was for these guys, which I want to say the name of it was IWC. Wait,
Idiots with Cameras.
Idiots with Cameras.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually, in my opinion, it's a very cute and funny
Yeah.
movie. I mean, it's really funny. But yeah, they had asked if I would be I think it was Mira, the lesbian vampire, or something like that. And it was sort of like an Elvira host where the kid's watching TV and you hear me say like, "Well, wasn't that great?" or something like that, and I kind of talk a little bit about whatever movie he's watching. But yeah,
okay,
that was a lot of fun.
Okay. After that, you acted in Joel's The Bite as Karen Weber. How was that for you as an actress?
That was probably one of the more fun ones because I was kind of the female lead in Fall of an Actor, but I was definitely the female lead on this, and it was more like Fall of an Actor took, like 2 years to shoot and something like that. This one, we shot it in 8 days. And we had it all mapped out. The only delay was the very last day, because I remember it was in 2004 when we had all the hurricanes in Florida. So one of the last scenes that we had to shoot was outside, and that got pushed back like a month because of all of the hurricanes. And then there was like flooding and all this stuff. But that movie was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. It made me realize I never wanted to shoot in an unair conditioned place in the summer in Florida ever again. Yet we still seem to do it. It's very odd. I don't know why we do that. But yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. That was a lot of fun to play. This is more of a thing on Joel, but it's just a funny story. You don't shoot things in order when you do a movie. It's usually out of order. So Joel, in that movie, he has short hair and long hair. So, of course, all the long hair was shot first, and then the short hair was later. Well, the first scene, one of the first days we shot, is like the last scene in the movie where he's fighting the vampire, and it's very dramatic and what have you. Mm-hmm. And he's wearing a shirt. And he has to wear through a whole movie, right? Like the whole second half of the movie. And he's just so into his character, and he gets them. It's like right in the beginning of the fight, and he just rips the shirt in half as he shoots out. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, oh my God, what did he do? We have like 8 more days to shoot with that shirt. And it's the only shirt we had. So I remember, I think the next day, I didn't have time to sew it, so it was duct taped together.
Yeah.
And then I did have to finally sew it, and I showed him my crippled hand, like, there you go, your shirt's all sewed back together. So you have to be careful with Wynkoop and wardrobe. He's very
Definitely. So after that, you did another voice role as Julie's mom in Death Plots. How was that for you?
Oh, that was fun. That was for Jason LaCour. He's actually in North Carolina now, but I think back then he lived in Apopka, Florida, which is about an hour or 2 away from us. That was fun. I really like Jason and Nancy. That's his wife. They, excuse me. They're really good to work with. I probably don't sound like it now, but I actually have a decent voice for voiceover. I have a little bit of cold right now, so it probably doesn't sound as good as it should. But yeah, I don't mind doing voiceovers at all.
Cool. And then after that project, you were in Light of Blood as a CIA agent. How was that for you as an actress?
That was fine. It was a very quick shoot. It was only like not even a day. It was just a couple of hours. But that was for another filmmaker friend, Gus. And like I said, it wasn't a very large part, so it didn't take very long to do it all.
Shot at our apartment.
Yeah, shot at our apartment, actually. Our dining room table turned into an office.
Yeah.
Okay. And after that, you played in a as part of the Always Midnight short as Debbie. How was that role for you?
Is that the one for a wedding?
I think so.
Always midnight.
Always Midnight.
Is that? I think
That's one
Was
of
that
the short.
Arnold?
That's a part of the Midnight trilogy from
Phil Herman.
Phil Herman. Yeah.
It's called Killer Arnold, right? I think it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Killer Arnold. Which was a short for Always Midnight.
Yeah, that one. I'm glad I did it. However, it was shot like a month before our wedding, like very close to our wedding. So, me being, a woman and getting ready for her wedding, that was really not what I wanted to do. And I remember I had to grow my bangs out long to get my hair done a certain way. So they were like all in my face in that shoot. And there's a funny scene where it's actually my wedding shower. Was in we lived in an apartment, so it was in the clubhouse or something of the apartment. I don't think there was restrooms there. Long story short, a girlfriend's like, "Can I use the restroom?" I'm like, "Yeah, just go up to the apartment. Joel's there, no problem." Well, yeah, Joel's in the apartment by himself with a bunch of masks and a video camera. And here she walks in, and here he is just walking back and forth in front of this video camera with all these different masks on, growling, acting like Joel. And she's just like, "Hi, Joel, I'm just here to use the restroom." But yeah, I think I was glad that I did it, but the timing was not great because it was literally right before the wedding. Like, why are we making a movie right before our wedding? But yeah.
And after that, you played in Day of the Axe as an interviewer, correct?
Yeah, were you Dan Hess in that too or no?
I was Dan Hess in that too.
I think I was interviewing Dan Hess yet again in that. So that one, I think that was Ryan Cavallini.
Ryan Cavallini, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. I kind of like doing some of those because they're usually just for like takes an hour or two, maybe a couple hours out of our time to do it, and I enjoy doing those. I do like going on location to do something, but I'm very like when Joel and I shoot something, I'm usually the one that helps get everything organized, and I don't like wasting people's time. Excuse me. Like, I don't want to up at 8 o'clock if we're not going to probably use them until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, I think that's rude. So when we're doing something for someone else that's out of state or something like that, I appreciate it because we kind of do it on our own time. Mm-hmm. But if I'm on a set, as long as I'm actively doing something, I enjoy it, whether I'm behind the scenes or in front of the camera. So the stuff like Ryan Cavallini, things like that is very simple to do, and I enjoy that.
Okay. Going into to another project called All Wrapped Up, you play a character called Alice Law. How was that for you?
The security guard.
Was that the security? Yeah. That was actually kind of fun because that was the first time that I got to be killed in a movie, so to speak, and I was shot. So I had a little squib that, went off, and that was, to me, that was fun. I know it sounds silly to some people, but like, yeah, I got killed. I got blood on me. That's great. So to me, that was a lot of fun. That was actually up in Apopka with Jason LaCourrier as well.
Okay. And then after that, you were in Dead Body Man Chronicles, correct?
I think so. Is that one I just drive?
A sign lady?
Dead Body?
A sign lady?
Oh, I'm not sure. Dead Body Man.
That's one where the guy that was a mummy, I think, wasn't it?
Well, that's not Dead Body Man. The Mummy was
Ryan Cavallini directed it.
Yeah, Ryan Cavallini. Dead Body Man Chronicles.
What do I do?
What does it say she does? I don't remember.
It says you're a sign lady.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Oh, signing.
Gosh,
that's
yes.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
That was something.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to be like a sign language interpreter or something. Like I'm like in the corner of the screen, and I think Joel's talking. And well, it wasn't real sign language. Let's put it that way. It was pretty. Well, you know what I'm saying, but it's not what he's saying. I'll just put it that way. There's certain gestures I'm using where a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, okay," but that's not what he's saying. So
yeah,
it was that kind of thing.
Okay. moving on to Aspiring Psychopath, where you played a detective.
Was that also that's Dan Hess or Dan Hess's daughter? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But am I talking to you or am I just talking on?
Yeah, I think. You know what? I can't remember. I know I'm playing Dan Hess again. Yeah, you're the daughter.
No. Was I the? No, I think that other girl.
No, it's the other girl's the daughter. Well, I think you were doing like an interview thing again with Dan Hess or a
Might
cop.
have been, yeah. I play a lot of cops interviewing people.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Going on to Survivors of Remick, where you played Polly.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. We played. That was at. We filmed it mostly at this place called the Q Club, which is very haunted. Very haunted. Like more than yeah. That was crazy. I play one of the survivors, and we have like these cloaks and everything, and it was a fun shoot. I got to do a lot of. I didn't make the costumes, but sort of like the costumes they had were kind of like a mechanic suit or a painter suit, but we added embellishments, so that was fun to do to make it look like a space suit.
Oh yeah, like Star Trek.
Right. So that was fun, but the shooting in the place was very scary. There's one scene where you don't see us. We just go backstage, and then we had to wait there for us to come back out on stage. And backstage area of this one theater, it was a really uncomfortable feeling.
Well, it sounds like it's something that's hard to talk about because it's an uncomfortable situation.
It truly was. And then I think Joel told this story the last time I talked to him, where we were upstairs in the growl. It was.
Yeah, I talked to Ken about that today. He goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it was. I mean, you don't forget that because it was really scary. And because I just remember we all looked at each other because it was like I think I was going to stay up there and they were going to take some stuff down, and we're like, "Oh no, we're all leaving right now." They're like, I ain't staying by myself.
Yeah.
Like, no.
We're not going to stay in this place for very long.
I remember the batteries and the camera got drained. There's some weird orb that's on the film that wasn't there when we were shooting. A lot of weird stuff happened there. And I know probably 2-3 years ago, we did a ghost tour of Ybor City, and one of the places they take us to was that same building.
Okay.
And people are all in the theater, and they're going up on the stage, and I'm talking to the tour guide, and I'm like, I'm not going up there. I'm back there. I've been there, done that, and not doing it again. And he was like, okay. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience.
And then I guess shortly after that or whatnot, you played in a movie called Into the Woods as an aide.
You're a security guard.
Yeah, that's with that was a Phil Herman movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's Phil.
But what do we do?
We were both security camera. We were watching the guy. I think it was Phil on the security cameras, and I was like, "Look what he's doing now," and you were like, I think he's gonna make a break for it, or whatever you said. It's been so long.
It's been so long.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we were both playing security guards at the mental institution.
Yeah. Okay. After that, you were in a short film called Shelter.
Yes, that's actually another Jason LaCorey film. It's a very tiny part. I think I just kind of move the van back and forth.
Stepmom.
Yeah, I drop off the daughter.
Okay.
Who has a good, it's basically her and Joel in the movie. It's actually a really good short.
Nicola Fiera.
Yeah, Nicola and Joel. It's a really good short. But yeah, I just drop her off.
Okay.
Minor.
After that, you played in The Fall of an Actor, which I know you've mentioned over this period of time.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us about your role in there?
Well, I'm actually the only character who has a different name because Joel apparently couldn't remember my name, so that's awesome.
I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah, it is. That is what it is. Because everybody went by their own names. Of course, he's Joel. Gus was Gus. Walter was Walter. Everybody went by their own names, and I'm going by Sandy, which is not my name. It's fine because I was totally not playing myself. In the movie, I'm married to this character Gus, who is Joel's lawyer, and Joel's agent and his lawyer conspire to make Joel crazy because there's something in his contracts that if he goes crazy, all of his money goes to the agent, I think, and he's going to split it with the lawyer, so on and so forth. So, my husband, the lawyer, convinces me to, you know, hit on Joel, become his girlfriend, and I'm not really into it, but I'm like, fine, whatever. And then I fall for him, so then I feel bad about the whole thing, and I tell him about it, which didn't help, so made him go crazy. But there was a lot of interest. It was my first acting, like, professionally, so I watched some of it, and I'm like, oh, that's good, and some of it I'm like, oh, why did I do that, you know? But there's one scene that I always remember where we're in a kitchen, and I'm complaining about Joel's character's drinking, like, why do you drink so much, and you shouldn't, and so on. And he, I'm not sure if this scene is in the movie, I think it is, where he just starts yelling at me, and he gets me backed up against, like, the sink, and he's screaming in my face, like, you know, what if I want to have a beer, blah, blah, whatever. And then, you know, I'm like, you just need to leave. And he leaves. And I remember when we did this scene, Garland, the director, at the end, he's like, man, that was really good. You looked really scared. And I'm thinking, I was scared. I don't even know this guy. And he's screaming in my face. Because it was like the second day I think we shot. And trust me, Joel screaming in your face is scary. I mean, it really is. He gets into his characters, and if you don't know him, like, I mean, obviously I know him, but not then. I know him as well, and I was like, oh my god, he's gonna kill me. So, that wasn't acting, but apparently it looked great, so awesome. But yeah, it's interesting because it's not quite like the Wicked Games thing, but we had shot so much footage that when it finally got put together, Joel put together Fall of an Actor. Fall of the Actor, which we did like a true Hollywood story. You know how he used to have that true Hollywood story where people would talk about it. So it was like people talking about, well, we did this. I was there when they were talking about this scene, and we had all these cameras around, so that explains why everything's on video. And then you see the clip where the son of the original director, did The Fall of an Actor with different scenes and made it like a movie. So they're both really good. So there's Fall of an Actor and The Fall of an Actor. And they both stand well on their own. One's a movie, one's like a true Hollywood story, but they're both really cool. And it's interesting because there's different clips in each one too, where you're like, oh yeah, I remember we did that scene.
So ultimately, eventually, you were part of the Truth or Dare series as an actress. How was that for you?
I was very excited to finally be in a Tim Ritter movie. You know, I was very, very excited about that. I was kind of in Truth or Dare 4, maybe in the behind the scenes, I think, because we did like
you're in there when he talks about all the wackos escaping.
Yeah, like the wackos escaping. But I mean, I have a mask on, and you don't know it's me. You know, it's just I'm one of many. But this one, to me, I was like, this is awesome. I'm in a Truth or Dare movie. I'm in a Tim Ritter movie. It's very exciting. I was very excited about that. And I almost played, I don't remember her name, your wife.
Ashley's?
Yeah.
Ashley Lynn Caputo?
Yeah, I almost played the wife of Dan Hess, but the script called for her to be...
Is she a wife or just a girlfriend?
I think she's your wife. Whatever, the wife, the girlfriend, love interest. But in the script, they kind of wanted her to be like in a bra and panties, and then there is a scene where she does nudity, and I'm not comfortable doing that, but Ashley, a good friend of mine, was, and I was like, Ashley can do it. So Ashley plays that part. So I play a prostitute that gets killed in the movie, and it's the most blood I've ever had on me in any movie ever. I'm literally like sitting in a bathtub, probably filled with, I don't know, 6 inches of blood, and then it's just being splattered on me. I know at one point we were doing like a behind the scenes, and I said I'd give you a thumbs up, but I think I'm stuck to the wall. You know, but it was a lot of fun. Got to do that scene, and then get all cleaned up, put on the same clothes because I had 2 of the same outfits, so I could do the beginning part where I'm not dead yet. Yeah, where I get attacked, which is I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I got to be there for some of the stuff that we did that was in town with Ashley and Joel, and then once they went to Indiana, I didn't go, for that, but I was very excited to be in a Truth or Dare film, and also be in a Tim Murder movie. I was very excited about that. So
okay,
I could do that. Yeah.
Moving on, I know you were part of Joel's show, The Other Side, but after that, you were part of Chris Wood's Make Them Die Sleazy, correct?
Yes, I think, is that the one?
You played Nancy.
Okay, I know which one that is. Yeah, I think Make Them Die Sleazy has a handful of shorts. I'm not sure how many.
7
shorts, and I'm in that.
Oh, that's right.
As Joel's wife.
Yeah.
And it's not a very flattering role. It's pretty funny actually, but because of what I do in it, but it's funny.
Yeah.
But I got to reprise that same character in Taste Me, which is further down on the list. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that was for Chris Woods. Both of them were.
Okay. And then I guess you were part of John Miller's Tainted Love short, which ended up on Joel's Wynkoop Tales, correct?
Yeah, the Wynkoop Tales. Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun too. It's funny because I think his production company was nothing better to do on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that literally what it was. It was a day.
That's what I called it.
He's like, Chris is out of town. I want to do something. Let's shoot something. We're like, okay. And so we did. And that was a lot of fun because I got to be nasty and mean to Joel and throw things at him. So I enjoyed that a bit. But he gets me back because he sells me. So that was a very nice. But I have blackmail footage of him and Ken, so I'm just going to leave it at
that.
And also you were part of Scumbags, which was another John Miller production. You played Mom?
Yeah, I play Mom to Crystal Pixie Adams' character, which she's just like completely oblivious to her daughter's we'll say hobbies, actions. Yeah. Completely oblivious. And but that was also a lot of fun because that's when I first met Crystal. And to this day, when we see each other, she's like, Mom, I'm like daughter. So it's really cute. But yeah, so that was also that was when John and Chris were actually partners, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess shortly after that, you were in Joel's slasher weekend, correct? As Jenny.
Oh, yes. Was that? I think some of those before.
That took like 10 years. Yeah.
That one took a while because we
were in the apartment.
We started it. Well, here's what happened. That's what I remember how it happened. My best friend at the time lived in Georgia, and he literally lived in the middle of the woods. There's nothing but woods around him. And, we went up there for Thanksgiving. So it was like Thanksgiving Day after, the whole 4-day weekend. And I'm this year just there to see my friend. Joel's with me, and Joel's like, let's shoot a movie. And we're like, no, we don't want to shoot a movie. He's like, yeah, let's shoot a movie. So we was into shooting, some scenes for a movie, and we did. But we didn't have enough to finish it. And it's not like we could go to Georgia. And then I think eventually Walter had moved, didn't have that house anymore. We're like, how are we going to finish this movie? I guess it's never going to get done. And then he's like, I'm going to finish this movie because we realize it's called Slasher Weekend, but we have no slashing in it. Nobody's dying yet. Mm-hmm. So we hired a few people I think that's when we first met Ashley, actually.
Well, it was originally for Ryan Cavallini. And yeah, originally it was for Ryan. I shot it for Ryan Cavallini, and then I was going to send it to him. And I said, good luck trying to edit this big mess. And then Ryan said, I don't want it anymore. And yes, and then we finished it.
But I think that was when we first met Ashley.
Yeah.
And, got her all bloodied up and a couple other people. And funny thing about that, he was talking about I heard him say something earlier about answering machines. We had put on our answering machine me screaming, which is very loud. It's very, very loud. And then it says, thank you for calling Wynkoop Product. You hear the scream, and then it's thank you for calling Wynkoop Productions, yada, 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 now in production or whatever, slasher again. And then I scream again. I had to warn certain people that when they call our house to just move the phone away from their ear if it's going to go to the machine. I had people saying, you just gave me a heart attack. I nearly died. What can I say? I'm good at screaming. Very, very good at it, actually. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I remember the second half of Slasher Weekend, I was mostly like on the production side of that, but that was a lot of fun as well. But I didn't meet the movie just 10 years prior to see.
After that production, you got involved with Chaos AD, correct?
Yes. That's another voiceover that I did.
Okay.
For Chris Woods, and I felt like he cursed us all because when I read it, it's just a newscast, and the first time, because I'm just reading it through a couple of times out loud to get the pacing and stuff, and this is before it actually happened. He had written something where we refer to President Trump doing something, and I'm like, I just started laughing. I'm like, President Trump, that's hilarious. Oh my God. And then of course I record it and then it happens. And I'm like, seriously, you totally cursed us all. So but yeah.
Alrighty. And I know that you were part of Truth or Dare Part 5, which you kind of mentioned that, where you played the hotel prostitute. And then after that, you were in you were in several short films before that, but you got a role in Animator, correct?
Yes, that was Seb Godin.
Yep.
I think that's how you say his name. Funny thing about that whole time, we'll just say, is I remember doing a short the weekend before. I did Seb's movie on the Thursday of that same week, and then the following weekend we shot a different movie. So it was a very fun weekend, and it's also in July, outside, in the heat of Florida, which again, why are we doing this? But yes, Seb and Dustin Hubbard, who actually I think is it might be a producer on that, had asked, Joel had a much larger part in that, but they had asked me to play, I think my name's Catherine actually in it. I'm the wife of Dustin's character, who is a doctor, scientist in it. Okay. And I'm also a scientist. And pretty much was able to shoot my scenes in a day. Part of it was messing with some sort of, I think it was a heart or something. I just know they put these kind of like steampunk goggles on me. And of course we're outside and it's hot. And they're fogging up, and he's like, just play with this heart, and I'm like, I can't even see what I'm doing, just put my hands on it, I don't even know what I'm doing. And we were out in Mayaca City, which is literally this particular place was in the middle of nowhere, and there was no running water out there, and there was a break at one point where we were waiting for, I guess, another actor to show up, and I'm like, why are we waiting, why aren't we doing anything? And they're like, oh, so-and-so has to show up. I'm like, well, when is so-and-so going to be here? And it was 2 hours from that point. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go find a real bathroom. Because they were like, oh, we can use the woods. You can use the woods. I am not using the woods. So we drove 8 miles out of the way to I don't know if...
Wawa?
Yeah, it was Wawa. I don't know if you guys have Wawas where you're from. It's like a gas station type place with food in it and stuff. So we go in there. Now I'm still in my costume, which was khaki pants, a pink button-down shirt, and a lab coat. And now the lab coat and the pants have blood on them because they came off the table onto my outfit. I'm walking around and I'm like, I don't even care. And I remember walking up and down the aisles and I see this police officer at the checkout, and I'm like, I spin around real quick and walk away, and I'm thinking, I'm like, if he asks me a question, I will explain it, but I'm not just going to offer hey, this is why I have blood on me. Didn't happen. It was fine. And then later that night, they did this scene where, spoiler alert, my throat gets cut out. But it's funny because the whole thing about the screaming, one of the girls was there. She's like, oh, if you're not able to scream, I can scream for you. I'm like, yeah, I've got it. Don't worry. We're good here. I was screaming so loud that they apparently yelled cut 10 times and I couldn't hear them over my own screaming. And they were right in my ear because I hear the playback later and I hear cut, cut, cut. God, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. But it worked, and I got my throat ripped out. And ruined the shirt because I forgot there was latex on it and washed it. So
Yeah.
important.
So you were also in Tim Ritter's Hess, which was a short film. Film. How was that for you?
That was a lot of fun. If anyone is a fan of any of the Truth or Dare movies, this is like a love letter to them. They would love this movie. We put so many Easter eggs in it that it's filled with stuff. It's just great. But it was a lot of fun to get to play opposite Joel's character as Dan Hess, because I'd never done a movie with Dan Hess. Well, I mean, I had, but not this way.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a Sunnyvale type situation as well. I don't want to give away too much, but I do play a character that comes on to him, and there's a couple of funny scenes. They added certain sound effects that made it somewhat embarrassing, but in the long run, it's really funny. Okay, I'll just leave them in. But it makes you want to it made me want to kind of hide my head, because it played at a few festivals, and someone recognized me at the end of it, and he just points to me and yells,
"Oh yeah,
boobs!" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that would be me." I mean, it's cleavage, but whatever. I was like, "Yeah, that was me in that movie." Okay, thanks.
So
whatever.
Ultimately, after that, you got involved with Taste Me Death Escort Service Part 3.
Yes.
How was that role for you? I know it was a reprising role, but how was that?
It was fun. That was another one that we were able to do in an evening shoot, and funny, I guess. It's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time because he was a little hurt. But Joel and I do this scene, and I'm like the wife, why don't you come home? I'm horny. You have to come home and see, that kind of thing. Have sex with me. And so he's kind of angry, but he does start kissing me. And I didn't know that Joel was going to do this. So he's trying to pick me up. I don't really like being picked up, so I fight it. And I didn't realize he was going to do it, so I'm fighting it. And as a result, we end up falling. But we crash into something that's off camera, but it's because we're in this Chris's living room. And he has this shelf, a metal shelf with all kinds of very expensive and collector VHS and DVDs and things. And we hit it. I scrape my back. He lands on my ankle. It hurts. But all I'm thinking is, oh my God, if I broke something of Chris's on this shelf, I'm going to feel so horrible. Thankfully, a few things fell, but nothing got broken. So we're like, oh, thank God. But apparently, we did it a couple more times. I knew he was going to pick me up. It all worked. But Chris took the one where he fell. Ended up making it in the movie.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So ultimately, after that, I guess Tales from the Midnight Hour 2 came out, and you played Judy.
Judy. Is that, which one's that?
I think that's the one where
am I in the show?
Phil calls us and you tell me don't. I don't know. I get them confused.
There's two that we did, one right after another during that time, and that's where I get them a little confused.
Okay.
Because I know there's one where I know Joel's character gets a call from Phil's character, and I'm kind of like, why are we going out with him? And I don't want to do this or something. And then there's another one where I think I'm having an affair with what's his name's character,
Brother, yeah,
which is his brother. Because we did them literally back to back, and then that one I know Joel tried to strangle me, and in all honesty, almost killed me. Just saying, we have to have safe words now because he likes to strangle too much, and I was like, I really can't breathe. Your face was great; it was red. That wasn't acting. That was oxygen being cut off. But yeah, I can't remember. We did them literally within 2 weekends of each other, so it's hard to remember. But I know we filmed them both at Chris Woods' apartment at the time.
Okay.
So that was, I just like being able to be a part in someone else's film as well. I don't mind doing stuff like that. It's always fun.
Oh yeah, very cool. And then apparently you were in a film called The Tube.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was a lot of fun that I had just met. Well, I think you knew them. I don't think I had met them.
Yeah, it
before.
was
Donald Becker and
Donald
Chambers.
Becker, and Christopher Chambers, yeah.
They had come down from Indiana.
It was after the
I
Black
think.
Book.
Yeah. Well, we had. That's right, because we had was made for the Black Book. Was like
Paranormal Club.
Paranormal Club was a short we had done for them originally for something called the Black Book, and I do think the Black Book has come out yet, but it was taking so long. We got the rights back and released it ourselves, but they still wanted to do something with us, so they were coming down for vacation. And they're like, "Oh, we'll meet with you guys in Tampa, and we'll shoot some stuff." So we met with them, had lunch.
First he called to see if we wanted to do it. When we said, "Yeah," he goes, "Good, because we're coming there right now."
Oh yeah. I guess he said, "Did you want to do this?" And we're like, "Sure." And he's like, "Good, we're coming down on such and such date, so we'll be there." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So I think I don't remember what part we did first, because I think it was two different scenes. Well, I guess we did maybe all the outside stuff first. It was abnormally cold in March in Florida. And I'm a native Floridian, so I don't like cold weather at all. Like 69 degrees is jacket weather for me.
Then you wouldn't want to live here in Wisconsin at all.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. No way in the world. Because that's too cold for me. But this happened to be a cold day. I think it was colder than that in Florida. And I remember we were shooting like at the airport. We shot in Ybor City. And I'm wearing short sleeves and Joel's in shorts. And he's trying to get these scenes. And I'm like, oh my God, it is so cold out here. It's like the guy's standing off the side with my jacket. So as soon as like we walk off camera, he can put the jacket on me because I was freezing. But yeah, it's really cute because we play like a couple that's on a sort of like on a vacation, and Joel's just completely rude and whatever to me. Like he's got his little Super 8 camera and I'm lugging around the luggage. He's trying to make me do stuff like, oh, get a picture with this statue. And I'm looking at him like, are you serious? And then he's watching me like lug this huge suitcase upstairs and just, really obnoxious. And I'm like, okay, let's go out. Because it's basically we're doing the wraparound for their movie, which is the tube that has like 3 or 4 short stories.
Okay.
And then we move into the hotel and do the rest of it.
Okay. And then after that, you were part of Earth Girls Are Sleazy, correct?
Yes. I don't remember what I did.
That's the one that kills the alien, and I call him on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where I got confused with the other one.
Because they're back to back.
Okay. And then after that, you were in Seb Godin's next 2 films, correct? Ouija Mummy and Dino Gore.
Yes. Ouija Mummy was actually really nice. It was interesting because it was an entire voiceover, but I am on screen the whole time. Like, in other words, I'm acting and then they do the voiceover, overlay it over my acting. But it sets up the whole story so you know why everything's happening. It's like some necklace that I dug up and, started the whole,
there it is.
Started the whole curse, essentially. But yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot.
Okay. And then the Dino Gore film?
Yeah, that one was very, very, it was really quick. I think we were just like, hey, come over here on such and such time and we can shoot these scenes. We're like, all right. So we did Joel's scene. He's in it for, I don't know, took half hour. Did mine, took about 5 minutes, and then we went and had breakfast. So it was awesome.
So really quick, Joel, were you in Ouija Mummy and Dino Gore at that time? Or?
Yeah, I was in Ouija Mummy. I play a character named Karate Irving, which Dustin's now doing a script for that to bring me back as Karate Irving. And then Ouija Mummy is
Mummy,
that is Ouija Mummy.
That's Karate Irving.
Is Karate Irving?
Gore, you were like the reporter.
Yeah, Dino Gore, I was just a reporter in the end credits, but it was pretty funny.
Okay.
I'm doing a thing like, all the monsters are coming, and then I scream like, oh, he's after me. I can't even remember actually, but it's in the end credits as a little I don't know, like the extra thing. Yeah, it says I think the credits are going on, and then I'm on the side, and David James Parker is also in it.
Okay.
And yeah, so that was just fun to do.
Okay. And then I guess it's at this time that kind of pandemic hits. And then you're in a short film called Killer Quarantine.
Yeah.
The voice with
Yeah.
Dustin and
As a mom.
yeah, another voiceover.
And then that's when you got involved with Joel's Craiglon incident. How was that for you?
Well, at first I didn't want to be in it.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up. You know, the quarantine hits, and it was just about the time where everything's locked down. They tell you, you know, you can't leave your house, or they don't want you to leave your house. They don't want you to do things. He's tired of holding my picture.
That's fine.
So, anyhow, it was just a lot of back and forth. He's like, "You mean we can't go out of the house?" I'm like, "Well, you can, but you know, to get groceries and maybe get food, but no, you can't just run around downtown Tampa and do things." You know, he's just like, "Well, I don't understand." I'm like, "Yeah, we can't do it." So he's like, "Well, here, shoot me." He's like, "Well, can I go outside my front door?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Here, shoot me," you know, doing this weird whatever outside the front door. I'm like, "All right." And I'm holding the camera, and he's just being goofy. And he's like, "Okay, shoot a reverse." So I'm talking to myself. I'm like, "Seriously?" "Yeah." I'm like, "All right," doing it. It's kind of back and forth. And I think at that point he started, I mean, it was really, in my opinion, silly. And then I think he got Phil on board and Sean. And then I started seeing like, okay, well now I see the story coming along. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Because at first he said, "Do you want to be in this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so. I don't want to be in your movie. It just seems too weird." But then when the story came along, I was like, well, now everybody's in this movie. I kind of want to be in this movie. So I'm like, "Can I be in your movie?" And he's like, "Okay." So I think I ended up playing like 5 or 6 characters. I play Emma Crusher. I'm sorry?
Sharon Maxwell.
Yeah, Sharon.
Melissa Heck.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Sharon Maxwell is a reporter. In this sort of like in the beginning of the movie, Melissa Heck is actually, I guess you could say she's kind of a victim. It's part of a movie that we had done. We recut it to fit the Craiglon incident, but it was a little short that we did for some. What was his name?
Roger Corman.
He had some sort of quarantine like film festival. Had to be like a 2-minute short, so we had already done something for that, and so we kind of just adapted it for Craiglon by putting aliens in it instead of monsters. Excuse me. And then I play Emma Crusher, who is the sister of Emil Crusher in I'm his sister in all the universes, but I'm only alive in an alternate universe. And then I play another reporter. I can't think of her name.
I can't either.
It's in 3. It's another one of those names, another reporter.
Alice
Thornton.
Alice Thornton. And then I also play Agent Shadow. Agent Shadow and Emma Crusher are probably my 2 favorite ones.
Okay.
Because Agent Shadows just runs this whole world conference thing, and that's like probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. And then Emma Crusher, I get to be kind of like an action hero, so that was fun.
Okay.
I would have probably done some of that today had I not broken my ankle, but I can't really run around with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sorry that you have a broken ankle, and I hope you get better soon.
Oh, thanks.
And then I guess you were in something called Inheritance?
Yes, that one I'm really proud of. It just played at I think it's called the Tampa Bay International Gay and Lesbian Film Festival, like Sunday evening. It's been in quite a few festivals over the last 2 years, all over the world. I know there's some in Paris and some locally, some out of state, out of country. It's doing very well. I get to play this character, Aunt Rhonda, and it was just a lot of fun playing that part. I had a wig on, so I had blonde hair, heavily done makeup. She's a rich socialite bitch, basically, in the movie. She's not a very nice person in the movie. but I had a lot of fun playing her. The rest of the cast is amazing. I'm hoping it comes out on DVD fairly soon. I know he wants to get it through all these different festivals first.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Joel saw it, and because he saw some of my scenes, but not all of them, because a lot of the times he had maybe something else he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're on my own. And when he saw the movie for the first time, he's like, "Man, dude," he's like, "You did such a good job in that." So I was really proud of myself. I kind of let myself. There's a term a lot of actors use down here called "go Wynkoop" in a movie,
Okay.
and it usually means go crazy. I didn't actually have to go crazy, but I totally channeled my inner Wynkoop to play Aunt Rhonda to be like a total bitch. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Nice. And then I guess you were part of Horror Tales Part 2 as Elizabeth, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I played. It's kind of a couple of different characters. I'm sort of like the homeowner. I am also sort of the witch that you hear and see in some of the other scenes. I got to be part of a lot of that just because I was in the house at the same time that we're shooting it. But yes, that movie, I got tired of it, hearing him edit and lose scenes and get upset because the computer would shut down and then everything got lost. But yes, that movie I am in, and I probably will be, I'm sure, in Horror Tales 3 at some point.
Okay.
So.
And then I guess you were part of a film called Family Snapshot.
Yes, which one?
Chris's. That's where we're the televangelists.
Oh, okay. Yes, that was. That's another one that has not made it to DVD or I keep saying VHS, DVD or Blu-ray yet. It's going through the festival circuit right now. Joel and I play televangelists, so we're sort of like, we are on TV, I think, but then for the character, we're sort of like in his mind. Like he thinks we're there, but we're not really there. And that was a lot of fun too. That was also for Chris Woods. We did 2 days on that, so yeah.
Very cool. Well, I thank you for your time and for coming on to share some of your. I wanted to get a little bit of both of you guys on this episode, so I thank both of you for coming on. If Joel, are you okay if we turn this into a trilogy?
Sure.
Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, definitely, where can you find some of your stuff here? Like, where can we find you on Facebook?
Oh, mostly Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I do have a website, but I really don't use it. Nobody seems to know about it, and but most of my stuff I do is on is I'm doing something off of Facebook. Or if people want to get in touch with me, I use Facebook.
Yeah, sorry that we ran out of time here, but I definitely want to continue if you're okay with it, and maybe same time next week.
Sure.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, hopefully you enjoyed hearing Joel and Cathy's adventures here, and definitely go check out their films. They're on definitely a lot of films that you can get on Amazon, some through the Sleaze Box, things of that nature. So, I think you can even find some on Sub Rosa Cinema. So
yeah, and then of course all streaming. But if anybody wants to get something directly from me, they can also do that. All they got to do is write me on Facebook and say, "Hey, can I get a copy of this movie, that movie?" All my movies I have. So if they want to get something that I'm in, all they got to do is contact me on Facebook and say, "Hey, I want to get this movie from you," and I can make it happen. And if you want it signed, I'll sign it for you. And anytime anybody buys anything from me, I always throw in a lot of extras and stuff, little extras, DVDs or drawings, or so it makes it a little more special if you get it from me. So I try and give everybody something special.
Oh yeah. I just recently bought some stuff from you, and that was some very fast shipping. So thank you.
Did I send you any extras? I mean, I say that I send the extras, and then
I was actually
I forgot to put that in the envelope.
I was actually kind of surprised. I had both of the Craig Lawn posters in there. So I was that was pretty cool. And then you sent me something that you drew.
Oh, cool.
Which I'll be putting on one of my video pickups videos soon.
Awesome.
So, but in any case, thank you for coming on, and I'll definitely enjoy talking to you next week.
Oh, thanks a lot, Dave. Look forward to it.
You bet.